All right. What's happening, world? I'm your host, Ben Wozniak, and this week we have wrestling promoter Joseph Knight on. Welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how you doing?
So when we were off, we were talking a little bit about all your different hobbies. We were showing off your belts and things. So how did you get into wrestling?
How did I get into wrestling?
Yes.
By accident. First of all, if you're probably going to hear an accent on me. I am a New Yorker, born and bred in New York
I
City.
forgive you.
Yeah, so it's like I gotta have my coffee. I gotta have my other stuff. I was put it like this. Growing up, my introduction to professional wrestling was actually my uncle took me to Madison Square Garden when I was a little kid, and I saw Hulk Hogan defeat the Iron Sheik
Right.
back in 1984. And that was, I was like, "Oh, I like that." So I followed it throughout the years. Big diehard fan of the territories. That's my era, 70s and 80s.
Yep, been there.
Yeah, we're actually Big Daddy Braun. You're the same birth year as me, so um, so followed all the territories, the Jim Crockett promotions, the AWA, and all that stuff. Got introduced. I was a New York City police officer in 1991 during that time. John Arezzi, great guy. He was hiring for security. I was a fan of his radio show, his wrestling radio show. So I talked to him and I said, "Hey, could you use security?" And me personally, I was like, I wanted to see a wrestling convention without paying for it. So and getting paid for it. So what basically transpired is he hired me and a couple other folks to come do security. Got introduced to him and got introduced to my mentor, Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert. If that name,
Okay.
I don't know.
Yep, I know how to.
He's actually on my wall. A picture, a poster with him back there. Eddie Gilbert, like I was doing my rounds. Eddie Gilbert looks at me, "Hey kid, you want to be a wrestler?" And I'm like, "No, I always wanted to be a manager." I'm like 6'9", 6'10", and I was like a slim kid next to him. I wish those days were back. So got introduced to Eddie Gilbert. We talked for a bit, and of course I knew who he was and all his stints. And next thing you know, I became his roadie slash apprentice. So I traveled with Eddie back and forth. Also got to meet two other guys who helped me in the business. Jason Knight from ECW and Rockin' Rebel. Now, before anybody goes, I don't know if you guys know the story with Rockin' Rebel.
No.
Okay.
No, enlighten us.
Oh, geez, she put me on the spot. Okay. I'm going to separate. This is a thing, and it's a very touchy subject. We all know the Chris Benoit scenario. What happened with Nancy? I actually met Nancy. I have a picture with her too. But Chuck Williams, Rockin' Rebel, had, let's just say, a similar situation happened. He took the life of his wife and himself. Didn't do anything to the kids, but he was going through major depression. I don't know. But I want to separate the two because in everything, even Chris Benoit, and I know a lot of people say that's a touchy subject. No, it's a different thing. It's like the wrestler and the person. I knew the wrestler, and he was the most greatest guy in the world. Being in a room with him, Jason Knight, and Eddie Gilbert, they were like my big brothers. They took care of me in the business. They make sure I got paid everywhere I went to, more than a rookie's supposed to get. And I basically owe my career to them, So, and the best way to give you a quick little introduction how I got trained. think about this. Eddie Gilbert, and everybody knows he was a little bit of a drunk, slapping me in a headlock in the hotel room. All right, kid, this is how you do it. You know, you're going to remember promos. And I'm like, okay. And taking the bumps and learning as I go. So that's how I got him into professional wrestling.
That's awesome. So now, now you're more on the manager side. Did you think that your biggest strength as your wrestler, and did you get the rest of this kind of mentee to or not?
Say that again. You came in a little broken up.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So how did it feel when you became?
Now I can't hear you guys at all.
Give me 1 second.
That's it. That's perfect.
Right
Don't do anything. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, I won't move. I'm so sorry. So, after this mentee phase that you had, what was your biggest as a manager, kind of catapult you into where you are now?
When you start off as a manager, like for me, I had a lot of breaks. I'll say this because I happened to fall into the wrestling business when it was still hot, and being in a group of guys who basically showed me everything. A lot of guys that started the business, I think today they're a little bit different because they're more in the flippity flips and they really don't know the psychology and the craft of the business. Me, from manager to where I am now, I learned so much. I've learned backstage work. I learned producing. I learned how to take care of the talent, how to do so many things, and what to be careful of. So I know how to run a show. I've met some of the best people in the world. I've met Sensational Sherry. I've met Captain Lou Albano. We actually had a little back in 1992. We had like a little rivalry in an indie show. So it was great to see, Captain Lou, baby, baby. And I was like, okay. And doing our skit. A lot of people compared me to a young Paul Heyman back then, and the voice is kind of similar. So it's like, I even got a chance to go to Smoky Mountain Wrestling. Tim Horner met me at the following year's convention for John Arezzi. My rookie year, and I got a table. I'm already signing autographs. So it was awesome. Me met Sean Waltman, who you guys know is the 1, 2, 3 Kid, X-Pac. At the time, we looked probably today too. We probably look exactly the same. The only thing, he was way taller than me. And we were it was such a different business. And to learn that experience to come down to here. From 1990, 94, I basically was everywhere. Worked for, a little bit for Dennis Coluzzo when he ran in NWA territory before he passed away. Met a young Sabu, young Chris Candido, met a lot of the indie greats who were going to move on, to become someone. So the wrestling, that manager experience was great. And since I was what I would call a secret mark for the business, because I was a big fan of the business, but I didn't want to show that in the locker room. Like, hey guys, how you doing? Like, wow, meeting Bruno Sammartino and Larry Zbyszko and all of these guys were like, wow, so and going through, and another thing in my manager's career, learning to build a personality. And my wrestling personality, it kind of already sinks in naturally. I do my wrestling almost gimmick when I do interviews for jobs. It's like, that, and stuff like that. And everybody just goes crazy. And then they read my resume. Oh, wrestling. Wow. Did that for a while. Like I said, did that till 1994. Then started booking shows. Actually started learning how to book shows and did shows in New York City in both Brooklyn, Manhattan, the Bronx boroughs. And my God, what a difference. Because now it's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to the ringside. Now it's like, oh my God, these guys are driving me insane. No, do this. And you learn direction. You learn, I think in professional wrestling, when you're behind the scenes, just like in acting, you learn so many things. You learn how to direct, you learn how to produce, you learn how to edit, you learn who to fire and who to hire, so, and a lot of the wrestling business is just, it's just so different. But in my manager time, yeah, I could tell you straight off, the best part of it was meeting the superstars that you see on TV, them treating you like an equal and saying, welcome to the business, kid. I'll tell you a quick story real fast. My first introduction as a manager, I had the nice, like, not a suit, because I was never a suit tie guy. I was like a Bobby Heenan, Paul Heyman type character. My introduction to the business was, I was in the locker room. I've always learned, shake everybody's hand when you go in the locker room. Now I had Rockin' Rebel and Jason Knight with me. We got booked for a show. Jason, Rockin' Rebel walks up behind me. Jason's right here. Guys, Joey here is new to the business. Ooh, I didn't know what that meant. What I found out, it was an initiation time. They pulled my t-shirt over my head and Jason gave me the hardest chops. If you ever seen ECW when Jason is wrestling, he does some chops. So I'm getting all this, it's just red. And I'm the, you could say I'm the first Tommy Dreamer. Thank you, sir. Have another. Like, boom. I had tears in my eyes, but you couldn't tell it because the t-shirt was over my head. And I'm like, gotta take it, gotta take it, gotta take it. When I pulled the t-shirt down, smart play for me, I wiped my eyes with the t-shirt, pulling it back down. Yeah, is that all you got, Jason? Oh, Lord, that started something. But that was my initiation in the wrestling business. So thought I'd throw that in there.
That's amazing.
Sounds like
What was that, guys? You kind of like broke and came out.
I said it sounds like a lot of fun and a lot of pain.
Oh, it is. It's when you're invited to do conventions and you're sitting there signing autographs and you're meeting, like, right next to you is like other people that you've seen. Like, I was doing a short promo. A guy, the fan came up to me, let's do a promo. And I'm like, all right. And I remember I had to do a Captain Lou battle, like his team against my team, blah, blah, blah. Well, look at that old fossil Albano and blah, blah, blah. And Albano's like, oh, shut up, you little bastard, And next thing I know, it's like, I'm done. Here comes Sensational Sherry walking right by. Oh my God, I love you. And gave me a hug. And I will never forget it because I had this thing for Sensational Sherry. Seeing her in the AWA and early WWF. But yeah, I mean, it was something else to see. So sitting around with the greats and you meet them and people say these guys are small. No, they're wrestlers compared to today,
Nice. So now you're about to open your own.
Yeah, actually, I ran the same wrestling company back in '94, and again, Jason Knight, Rockin' Rebel, a lot of the guys helped me with this, and we did that for about 5-6 years. We drew big crowds in New York. At the time, we were competing with, I don't know if you folks know Jersey All Pro Wrestling. It was a big independent company in the Jersey area and other companies. So we would outdraw sometimes a lot of the other companies because we were still family entertainment, but we still had our hard moments. We still did stuff. Fans got into it. And even back then, I realized promoting, marketing, getting out there, introducing guys who nobody ever knew of into the community to sell tickets. We did meet and greets, and some of these guys would come up to me. Joey, I've never done this before. Well, you're gonna do it now, kids. Get over there and sign up. And the community loved us. So I did that for a couple of years. Times were changing, as you folks know. We had, it's just things were changing. So I moved my family. I was married with kids at the time. I was married with children. And we moved out of New York City. I took a break from the wrestling business, still got calls to do stuff. I actually got invited down to back then TNA wrestling. And, they invited me. It was really cool. MGM Studios did that. Could not stand it, left. So it was a fun moment. I got to actually be hired by a legit company. Didn't work out. I wasn't really happy with the product, and that's a whole different story. But came back, did some other, spot stuff, but never really followed it up, 2013, we managed to do another show again. I booked the whole thing again. My buddies Jason, Rebel, Big Vito from WCW, and a couple other guys, workers from WWF who were job guys came down. They were in great shape. I mean, we did a great crowd too for a return show that nobody knew who we were, and we actually rivaled other companies, and they weren't happy about that. And then took time off again, because once, like, I'm getting older, so the wrestling business is like, I gotta save some of my hair for when I get older, So now it's like years later, and all through this time now, everybody's asking me to come back. I've done a little spot shows, but you gotta have that moment. And that's the most important thing. You got to feel that moment to do a show. So now it's like years later, everybody, you could say literally drag me out from under the bed and says, no, you're going to do a show. And now we're planning. So we're actually planning to come back in June. And again, this is like a test pattern. We're gonna do a show, and I'm marketing it as a TV production, a stream production. Right. So a lot of everything back in my day was like TV, gotta have TV. Now it's streaming. So thank God I learned so much from streaming too, So I do my own stuff. I do game review, game plays, and all this. So people invite me to talk wrestling like you guys are. Yeah. So. And everybody, what's happening? It's the awesomest podcast I've ever been in. Love the shows. I sat back and listened to a couple. My God, you guys are spot on with a lot of stuff. So. Oh yeah. Well, it's great. You two are doing an awesome job. So make sure you guys keep that going. So, but that's the thing. And now it's like coming back. We already got everything set. That's a funny thing. I have the graphics done for the show. We got the Titantron. We have the intros with the music, non-copyright music. We have the talent who we want to use. Some of these guys are from AEW Dark. We've got Crowbar coming in from who was with WCW. We've got like a little bit of back history of where the company is, how we're going to present it to you could say the modern today, and relive some of that 2013 years ago. Funny thing I didn't even mention, back when we were doing our shows in 1994 to like 2000, I happened to have, and this is going to make you guys laugh, a very young Homicide and Loki.
Oh, really?
So they were the kids in the neighborhood. And they were doing their skit. I kind of helped them, like develop a character. And it was, think of like this: you had Homicide, you had Loki, you had Jason, you had Rebel, you had all of these guys sleep. I had a brownstone in New York City, in Brooklyn. These guys will be staying over my house on the floor to watch the competition's pay-per-views. Right. So my wife will have them like Oh my God. And we had small kids, so my kids will like wrestle with them, the guys, and do stuff with them. So it was funny having a young Homicide and Loki and seeing them where they are today. Even a young Charlie Haas, who went on to become, the world's greatest tag team. So it's like all of these guys, when you see them, like as kids and growing up, and I ought to backslap you, and they go into the business and you see them how they develop and grow. I'm very proud of these guys. I see them today, and it's like, more life to them. Just be careful and take care of yourself. So, so
So when you were booking wrestlers for this event coming up in June, are you trying to just pull who you like? Or are you trying to curate a specific attitude?
It's a little bit of both, because you gotta look at the modern times. Like me again, I'm old school. I'm from the era where wrestlers look like wrestlers, the big monsters and the Mr. Wonderfuls, the Rick Rudes, and all of that type. But times have changed. These big guys are gone. We still have them very sparsely around the territories or the indies now, but I have to look at, like, okay, one, I do still look at who I feel can bring in people. At the same time, I have to look at their work. And there are times like I have a booker, I have an agent. So they've worked with me since the 90s. So they've been with me all this time. We go over the talent. I have what now is called territory promoters. So in Connecticut, because I'm not in Connecticut, I'm way away from Connecticut.
Yeah.
These guys, his job is just like back in the territory days, and that's how I keep the mindset is, this is your territory. You book it, you get me a place, get me the ring, get me some of the talent, pre-sale tickets, advertise it, and you get a big percentage of the ticket sales. So that's how it works, and that's how I was trained. So if everything is set, we communicate, we do monthly meetings to make sure everybody's set. I look at the talent. There are times I will be sitting, like we did a Zoom call, and we will sit down and they will send me a picture of a talent. Like, oh God, is that a wrestler? That person looks like he should be going to me and saying, do you want fries with that?
I look like I should come and you say you want fries with that.
No, you guys, by the way, I'm going to make it so everybody hears it. Not only I'm inviting these two to come down for our show, so I'm going to have Big Daddy Braun. We're going to have Dangerous Kyra there, and you guys are going to be the backstage interviewers if you want.
Oh, absolutely.
So you guys, I want you guys to be there. I can't wait to see you. Then it's like you'll see me like, he looks like that. Ew. But yeah, and I do have the long Paul Heyman old long hair, and it's longer in the back. So but the main thing is I actually sat down and I looked at some of these guys and girls, and I'm like, really? And when I give this look, and my team knows when I give that look, okay, what can you look at and they'll put on a video, and I say, they got great moves, but is that it? Is that all? And the gimmicks are bad. They can't talk to save their lives, and they have no clue of what kind of gimmicks to have. So normally I would give my input, and they will go back to that talent. Like it or not, I'm the one that's paying you. So you have a choice. And sometimes, I'll give you a quick example. I had a Spanish kid, Puerto Rican kid. This kid was coming up with so many outlandish gimmicks. He thought he was a gangster like New Jack. He thought he was this, he was that. And they never worked. And I said, kid, you're Puerto Rican. Why don't you just embrace that? Embrace that. remember the Lost Boricuas? So I think that's what Salvio Vega and all of it. Okay, I told him, you see that gimmick, do it, and I'm gonna give you a team. What you guys are gonna be old school Puerto Ricans like the old days. By the way, I'm mixed Spanish with Italian, raised more Italian, so there you go. So this they were, like you're gonna do the dominoes, you're gonna be doing this, you're gonna reference old school Puerto Rican stuff. It got over because it was a gimmick he knew, and he could speak Spanish better than me, you know. So he embraced it, and it works. That's kind of, and he accepted it. A lot of guys in the business don't want to take criticism. And another thing to go, I'm ranting like Jim Cornette here. Go goddamn son. With the main thing is finding the right talent that will listen, who can bring in the pulse today, and who will willing to look at it as a fledgling from where it could be tomorrow, instead of saying a quick payday today. And a lot of these folks, and I keep doing this, a lot of these folks, some of them just don't get it. They're like too ego driven to understand I'm helping your career. One kid works in 7 different promotions, literally, with the same gimmick. And how can you work? And I told him, I'm like, well, you work here, you work here, you work here, all doing the same gimmick. It's nothing new. You're not drawing there. You want to work here. You're going under this name, this gimmick. And it's not to not to disrespect who he is in these places, but nobody's going to, if they just finish seeing you 3 times, they're not going to pay again to see you here.
Right.
So, but if they see somebody that looks like you in a different gimmick, I might come here and see what he's doing. And another philosophy that worked. So that's the difference. You gotta, again, it's a mixed answer to your question, but it's looking for the talent of today, liking them in a sense that they're gonna, and that's nothing personal. Let me just put that out there. It's nothing personal. It's business. It's how well, if I'm going to pay you, you got to do something for me. You got to draw money for me, because that money is going to pay for the next show and the next show and the next show. And it's also going to help do better marketing, merchandise and stuff. Everybody has, here's a funny thing. Everybody says to me, even on an indie level, says, oh, are you trying to be Vince McMahon? Well, thank you. If mine is the flirting with the women, because my wife will beat me up, I wish, but knows to the next level and take credit. When I go, oh God, that match sucked. So, and when the kid will come back, well, what do you think? What do you think? I mean, real hyper. You suck. And this is why you sucked. And you could take it for whatever it's worth, or you could be a business person and understand why you didn't even look at the camera. Your psychology is horrible. All you did was spot move as a spot move. You didn't play to the crowd. You couldn't even acknowledge that you were like thinking in your head, okay, backflip, rollover, monkey flip, hurricanrana, sunset flip. And it's like you forgot that there's other things besides that.
Yeah.
So that's what I look for when it comes to talent.
Absolutely. That's really, so you're very involved in it. Do you have that? Do you and be like, can you help me? Or can you help me from that?
First of all, say the question again because it came in and out a little bit.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was saying, I know you run this business. Ever come to you and be like, you have great instincts, and in this salon, you help me find my voice, my personality, and my gimmicks.
Yes, actually, I have, and I've had good insights come to me I had talent come up to me and says, "Thank you for fixing my career," or something like that. I've had guys says, "You know, you don't know what you're talking about." I've actually had fans come up to me when I'm not in gimmick, because when I'm in the show, I'm usually backstage. I stop being the on camera or on manager, on, round ring manager. But there are times when I do make it, come down or do my commentating. So I'm the heel commentator. And I've actually had fans say, "Boy, that's awesome what you guys did." You know, man, I haven't heard commentary like that since Bobby Heenan and Jesse the Body Ventura. And those are the guys I emulated, because I loved their commentary. So I've had a lot of people, come up to me, thank me. I even have some of the names who I've worked with, and I gave short criticisms, and looks like, yeah, I can lie to you and say what you want to hear, or you can hear my opinion. And it does. I've had a lot of people. I have people come up to me in the street when I'm shopping with my wife. "Oh, I know you. I know you." And never like I said, I haven't been in the business for like I've been in the business for years, but I'm not like WWE, AEW, whatever Impact is now, you know. But I do have guys and girls that come up to me and remember when I did shows or seen it on YouTube and come up to me, "Oh man, wow," and sign autographs. That's the fun thing. And actually with wrestling, I've actually done voice work too. So you probably hear a little bit of the Joker in here, like, "Hello, friends," because I've done voices like that too. So
Well,
pretty much.
Well, listen, it's great having you on the show. We're looking forward to June. You want to add?
It's gonna be, actually, I have to pull it up. It's in Connecticut. It's in Southington, Connecticut. I gotta bring this up now. See, now I gotta work here. Now I gotta work. It is the Cadillac Ranch, everybody. It is in 45 June Lane, Southington, Connecticut. If you want pretty much more information, it will be on my Facebook page. It's Skulldron's Realm, or you can do the hashtag Skulldron's Realm, and I'm on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch, and on Instagram and Twitter. And if you follow up with that, and I'm sure I'm going to let these two know because I want them down there.
Oh yeah.
I'll be passing them flyers and all that. We have a lot at stake for this show. We are trying to do it as professional as possible to make it a fun experience and a business experience. And again, you guys got to see it, but here it is. This is the actual championship belt that will be on the line. So this is our heavyweight title. A lot of indies call it their world titles, but if you're in the one location, what the hell? So definitely check us out. It's June 11th. It's on a Sunday, and we're actually biting off at WWE when it comes to Sunday shows or Saturdays, whatever they do. But it is going to be big. That belt belongs to our champion. He's a great guy, Indie Icon Magic. He's going to go up against Showtime Shane Black and WCW or former WCW guy Crowbar. So you guys will see that. There's many more matches. We have a semifinals, women's title match. So the gold half. So a lot of that. We might have even midgets on there, and I love midgets. Everybody should have one in their pocket, So, but yeah, you're gonna have a lot of fun there. There's a lot of things going down. So, and again, I hope you two are down there. Can't wait to see you both.
You will be just for all your time today. And we'll be talking to you a little outside of this. But thank you again for being on our show.
You know what? And thanks for letting me on here. Again, you guys are great. Keep up the great work. Love what's happening. I'll be advertising it as much as I can too. There's one thing I got to tell you. I saw you were reviewing like horror movies and all that. Big Braun, I told you, you gotta do the Mad Monster Party. So
We will. We'll do that.
So thanks a lot, folks.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.